So as you all know, if you've been following the channel for a while, I have pretty bad luck when it comes to Ferraris. Really bad luck. The first one that I bought, a 1995 Ferrari, a 355, it burned to the ground shortly after I got it running. Yeah, that was a total disaster. I ended up replacing it with a Ferrari Testarossa, which is a beautiful car, but due to a title issue, I had to send the car back. It had a voided title. So I feel kind of cursed when it comes to Ferraris, and I've since bought a very nice Lamborghini Gallardo that is much more reliable and much more practical. But even with that amazing car, I still find myself longing for an old Ferrari. Maybe it's my automotive masochistic tendencies, I don't know, but there's just something special about a Ferrari. The noise it makes, the styling, the really analog feel of the steering with the older ones. I just kept looking for one, and finally I found the perfect Ferrari. And it's why I've flown all the way from Kansas to the Florida-Georgia border to pick this thing up. Oh, and here it is. 1990 Ferrari 348. But here's the really special bit. 98,000 miles. Oh, just look at this thing. I've been looking for a Ferrari that I could actually drive without fear for a while now, and this 348 is perfect. It's a 1998 TS model, the Targa roof, 98,000 miles. And for me, it is just the perfect Ferrari. I love the way my Testarossa looked, but not really the way it drove. It was a big beast of a car, but the side strakes were gorgeous. The 355 didn't have those side strakes, but it drove much better than the Testarossa, so much better. So the solution really is this 348. It is absolutely perfect for me. It's far from a perfect car, but it's definitely perfect for me. This thing having nearly 100,000 miles on it is almost unheard of in the Ferrari world. To Ferrari guys, 30,000 miles is usually considered high mileage, and this one has almost 100,000 miles. Even more impressive is this thing's on its original engine. The transmission's been rebuilt, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I want to talk about buying this thing because this was the first Ferrari I ever tried to buy a little over 3 years ago, but I was too late. It was advertised on Auto Trader for only $20,000 3 years ago. $20,000. I called and called and called, and the guy didn't return my calls, unfortunately. And then I saw it had popped up on eBay, and it was bid up to $24,000, and then it mysteriously sold. Now, the guy who beat me to the punch on this thing actually watches my channel, and he knows of me and Doug on autotrader.com/oversteer. So he actually did a little follow-up letter for us after he bought it, and it turned out it was a pretty big disaster for him. He bought it for $24,000, which is an amazing deal, but it was way overdue for a major service, the belt service where the engine has to come out of the car. He went with an independent garage to do this and was quoted about $9 grand, which isn't bad for a major at an independent shop, except they completely botched it apparently. He got the car back running poorly and other issues. They made a bunch of excuses after taking the $9,000 from him, and they ran. So he had no choice but to take it to the Ferrari dealer in Atlanta, Georgia, where they actually knew this car and worked on it to get the rest of it done. Then yada yada yada, Ferrari dealer did a bunch of things, and $30,000 later, he got a car back. So he doubled his investment into this thing. He pulled a Hoovie, and after enjoying it for a few years, he decided to sell it, and I bought it for only $35,000. So it's like being on the receiving end of what normally happens to me. I get to enjoy the fruit of someone else's suffering for once. This is great. And the guy who owned it before him was actually a Delta Airlines pilot. He owned this car for 14 years, and it looks like he did a lot of the work on this car himself. There's some weird homebrewed features of this car, which I'll show you now in a tour of the cheapest Ferrari 348 in the USA. I'm not sure if you all have noticed, but I have a new shirt to match my Ferrari. I haven't done a merch plug in years, but I'm going to do it now because I've teamed up with InShane Designs. They're the ones who also work with Mike, Street Speed 717, and we're coming out with a whole new slew of products just in time for the holiday season. This shirt is the first. It is actually reflective, the Hoovies Garage logo. I have both logos available on there in this silver reflective material, and they are very nice, comfortable, well-fitting shirts. So support the channel and treat yourself to a Hoovies Garage t-shirt. I'll be running these for a limited time and then moving on to something else. Now, back to the car. Look at this thing. I just love the side strakes and of course the pop-up headlights. The paint is not original and it is not the cleanest repaint ever, but really I don't care. That just means that I can drive it and not worry about getting a chip or a dent or something like that. Also, to make it more drivable, although I'm not the biggest fan are these Fast and Furious Sparco seats. Oh, but when I sit down in them, I understand why they put these in, because they are way more comfortable and supportive than the old original Ferrari seats. So maybe I'll hang on to these seats but reupholster them in something fun. But more interesting things here. Originally the window switches would have been right here in the door card, but they have been moved here to the center with some aftermarket switches, and you can see it's housed in a case of wood. It's like a strip of Home Depot wood here and more hand painting around the gated shifter. And if you think that's strange, take a look at the carpet. This rubber mount was hand cut out to preserve the carpet, but it's not the original carpet. It looks like house carpet. Same with the door panels. This is definitely not factory Ferrari. This is original Ferrari carpet right here. So we have 3 different kinds of carpets going on. Even more hoopty is the fact that there's supposed to be speakers behind here, but they don't exist. So when you turn on this ancient Sony Explode stereo system, it does absolutely nothing. Under the bonnet here is the V8 engine, which is all super duper tidy and nice. Since it had its major engine out service just a few years ago with the Ferrari dealer, only 2,000 miles ago, it still looks beautiful. This car, even though it had a lot of little homemade things here and there, you can see there's a battery switch cut off right here. It was serviced regularly at this Ferrari dealer. That's where the previous owner of 14 years took it for the majors, so it had a long service history with them. Really long service history. I think it totals up to $60,000 since 1999. That's how much it's cost to keep a Ferrari on the road. A lot, yeah. But I'm hoping this might be the first car that somebody else has had all the headaches before me to where I can just enjoy this car for a while. Hence, I'm planning on driving this car home 1,300 miles back to Kansas. Yes, back to Kansas. And we'll get close to the 100,000 mile mark. Not quite there, but really close. You have no idea that this Ferrari's at 100,000 miles. It feels like a normal Ferrari. Now that has a lot to do with the service history, which is this thick, pretty much takes up the entire front trunk space, this binder full of receipts, but also this Ferrari being used regularly is another big factor. The previous longtime owner had this thing for 14 years. He just drove the snot out of it. He took it to Road Atlanta and tracked it. He just used it and enjoyed it, which is what a Ferrari was made for. They weren't built to be garage queens for people to look at. They were meant to be driven and enjoyed. And this 348 with almost 100,000 miles on it clearly shows that they are capable of this. Some of them at least, while some others will burn to the ground. So I bought this thing without getting a pre-purchase inspection, which is really dumb. You don't do that when you're buying an exotic car ever, but it does appear that I have lucked out. But still, I'm not too far away from a friend who's familiar with exotic cars that could give this thing a once-over. It's just a few hours in the wrong direction, and I do want to get this thing close to 100,000 miles, so why don't we head south?
Well, this is new.
It is! Hello, Freddy! I figured you could be my wizard.
Is that code for something?
No, I just want you to look at this car before I drive it all the way home. It's a 1990 Ferrari 348, 98,000 miles on it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's the first time I've bought a car that...
That can't possibly be right.
I know, it's a 98,000 mile Ferrari, but the previous owner spent so much money. It basically did the Hoovie thing, but just for himself, not even for YouTube, and lost all this money and then sold it to me.
Okay.
So,
you want to get on the lift?
Yes, let's get on the lift and then see if there's anything I should be scared of driving it home.
Okay, all right.
All right?
Yeah, let's do that.
And then you can give me, you don't charge anything. This is like...
I can charge you. I can invoice you. I'll invoice you. I take PayPal, Venmo, Cash App.
All right, before we do that, what has happened here?
SEMA happened. So listen, this is not important right now. Stop. This is.
Are you trying to get on an episode of Hoarders?
I mean, I'm not saying that we're booked for an episode of Hoarders, but we might be booked for an episode of Hoarders. This is yeah, this is pretty bad. Those who live in glass houses don't throw stones, right?
Right. Well, I'm making my way over here to the dearly departed, my old Ferrari.
Oh yeah, Mount Ferrari over there. Careful with the oil on the ground. This Lexus Exxon Valdez all over the floor.
Is that Matt Ferris million mile Lexus?
It is actually. It's my million mile Lexus now. So this is your old car. Right now, it's in a few pieces.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah. So the engine's not in and the interior's not in. But look, it's not that bad. Like it's really not
there.
that bad.
It's a car, I suppose.
How many horsepower? I don't know, 300 something. So this is not bad. So the timing belt is still on there. It was just a little bit crispy, but you know, little sand. Yeah, little sandblasting.
There's some red paint left. But from what I'm understanding, you don't plan on having this be a convertible because that would be too hard to make a convertible.
So over there, underneath that pile of stuff,
is
another Ferrari F355, at least half of one.
Yeah.
So that's going to be...
there's your roof.
Yeah, there's my roof and my back quarter panels.
And some seats.
Some seats, yeah. Some interior panels, some wiring, and it should be okay to graft on. And maybe I'll do something like a wide body kit or, you know,
cool.
Something. It's not like I'm going to be... This isn't for Ferrari purists.
Let's go to the 348 here.
Okay.
Look at you in this lighting. I should probably invest in these, but... Wow, it's pretty.
You know what it smells like, though? It smells like clutch.
Well, I had to back it on the lift. It's a 50-point turn to maneuver around all this garbage you have in here.
Garbage? How dare you? So, looking underneath, it's actually very clean. Wow. It's I'm surprised. There's a little bit of oil seepage here. You can see right here.
Yeah.
So,
are you gonna taste it like Wizard?
No, I'm not. I'm not that advanced. So it looks like it's coming from over here. This looks like a plug that got ground down for some reason. All right, you need to replace the brakes.
I have a little bit of a lip there.
You have, yeah. Let's say this is Angelina Jolie. I mean, Ferrari in the 90s, they spent a lot of money and time on the engine, and the body they just really didn't care about. So the engine is like this work of art, and the body's just like slapped together.
It kind of looks like a kit car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of coolant right here, but this is the overflow tube, so that's normal. How's the temperature been?
May need a thermostat because it's not getting warm enough.
It's not getting warm enough. Okay, maybe. Yeah. So I would look into that. But this is, you can definitely see that there's some seepage here, so it might have just been overfilled. There's a little bit of a leak right here, the exhaust leak, but it's just a clamp, so you can just replace that clamp.
It needs a whole exhaust.
It does,
just needs
because
to come off.
this was booger welded. Because there's aftermarket cats on here, so you can see this. Yeah, I don't think this cat is really doing the job very well. So yeah.
Oh wow.
So this is all like,
that's out of a Chevy there.
Yeah,
exhaust shop, generic
this
bin.
is AutoZone special for sure.
Wow.
What's really cool is that the clutch in this car, you can do it in like 2 hours because you don't have to take out the trans or nothing. The clutch lives in here.
Really?
Yeah. So this, I don't even think you have to take off the bumper. You can literally just undo all these bolts and the clutch comes right out. Nice. It's like the easiest clutch job you can do.
So making it back to Kansas.
Right.
1,400 miles.
Well, you're gonna drive this?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's gonna go over 100,000 miles, or dang close. I want to be the guy that does it.
Okay. Well, the car I think is gonna make it. I don't think it's gonna be a problem with that. But I do need to talk to you about this paint. This paint is really bad. I'm serious. It looks like it was painted with a roller or something.
Yes, I wasn't told about the paint, but I don't know.
You're being told now.
It's a driver. It's a driver.
It's a oof. Yeah.
You saw the Fast and Furious seats.
Okay.
This is the Fast and Furious Ferrari. You have the Lamborghini. This is the Ferrari. This is movie quality right here.
More than I can afford, pals. How much did you pay for this?
$35,000.
35 is nothing for this car.
No.
Yeah.
It's a new Camry, not even a top of the line Camry, and it's a Ferrari.
I think a Camry would probably blow your doors off, though.
Probably a little faster, let's be honest, yeah.
But you know what you should do?
We'll go.
Just in case.
Yeah?
Fire extinguisher before you leave.
Oh, well.
Yeah, let's just do that.
Pop into Walmart. Okay,
yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, wish me luck. Good morning. It is day 2. I've made it to Atlanta. The Ferrari did great, other than the check engine light for one of the banks popping in and out a couple of times. It made it with zero issues. But I didn't want to drive all night, so I stopped at an Airbnb that I found where he didn't want to take any money. His currency apparently is stories, and he put me in a room on a really sticky couch with a bunch of car parts and other things. I mean, I've stayed in worse places, but it's kind of a weird house. Yeah, I woke up to some heavy breathing and things over me. It was a little strange. So I'm kind of wanting to get out of here as soon as possible. But at least he gave me garage parking next to this beautiful Mercy.
How'd you sleep?
Just fine. Not bad. Yeah.
Be sure to leave a 5-star review.
I certainly will.
It's a beaut.
Yes, 1990 348. You know anything about them?
Enough to not have one. How many miles are on it?
98,000 miles. I got a great deal. I mean, it's the cheapest. It's $35,000.
I would expect no less. 35,000.
Yes, great deal. I'm an excellent negotiator.
I've heard that about you. I can't help but notice the Fast and Furious discount hardware.
Oh, the Sparco Seats.
Sparco Seats.
Yes, they're fine.
I'm sure it has a little bit more headroom.
I mean, that adds value, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the wood center console, that adds value?
I think a 348 was the first Ferrari I ever drove. I mean, it's...
Same here.
I see the Ceramic Pro sticker, but I can't imagine they're terribly proud of the prep work underneath.
You mean the paint job?
Yeah.
You and Freddie are both poo-pooing my paint job. $35,000. You would have jumped on this in a second. In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
That's one word for it, yeah.
I didn't come here to be insulted. Ugh. Okay, we're starting to have some problems here. Number one is this target top seal is not doing a very good job in the rain. Starting to fill up the floor with water. I can see why the original carpets are gone. If they replaced it with home carpet, it probably got destroyed by this. But also, we're getting into some really cold weather, and I have no temp. Zero. Which means my thermostat's stuck open, and I think that's why it's triggering intermittently the check engine light, because when I coast down a hill and it gets really cold, it's like the engine computer doesn't like it and triggers the check engine light. So not perfect, but maybe I can MacGyver my way into some heat, because I also left my jacket in Freddie's car back in Florida. Really smart. Yeah. So I stopped at one of the old Freddy's here, picked me up some cardboard. This is a redneck farm truck kind of fix here on a Ferrari. Basically, the intake for the radiator is right here, and since the thermostat is stuck open, I'm getting too much cool air. I don't want to plug it up 100% because then I might overheat the car. I'll still watch it, but I'm thinking I can wedge this cardboard in there just right to where enough air gets into that it doesn't overheat, but also that I have heat again and at least get home. And then when I get home, I can replace the thermostat and everything else this car needs. All right. So that's about, half blocked, I would say. I'm gonna fold this in a little bit more so it doesn't flap, and then test my fix. Wonder if this is the only person ever to do this on a Ferrari. Probably. I've been back on the highway for about 15 minutes now, and I can say it works. It kind of worked. I'm off the peg of 140, just barely above it, and I have heat, which is the most important part. So now I'll be somewhat comfortable on this last 400 miles home. Getting close. This old mutt of a Ferrari made it home. I've driven much newer, nicer cars that haven't made it to the finish line, but this 1990 Ferrari, almost 30 years old, gave me no worry that it was ever going to break down on this 1,500-mile journey. Now, there are some things that I do need to take care of with this car that Freddie pointed out. In addition, the thermostat is definitely stuck open. That needs to be replaced. And unfortunately, I hit a hard bump in Oklahoma and my speedometer quit working. That really stinks because that took off about 200 miles that I would be closer to 100,000 miles that just never got recorded. That means I'll have to drive this Ferrari a little more for the odometer to show 100,000 miles, but frankly, I don't care. Ferrari enthusiasts love to hate the 348, and I really don't understand why. They must have just never owned one and experienced what a good car is. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna go collapse and